Ezra, it looks like, as we've known all year, something is up with the Senate rules, and the idea of just doing this infrastructure package through reconciliation is, in and of itself, revolutionary in terms of the way the Senate does this kind of business.
Maybe. Can't you ever bring me on for something easy to explain? So what's happening in the Senate?
Take your time. Take the rest of the show.
I think I'll need it. Majority Leader Schumer. In budget reconciliation bills can be done once every fiscal year. So Majority Leader Schumer has been looking into the rules, or his staff has, probably more to the point, and they've found a provision that basically says those bills can be amended. And I'm kind of paraphrasing things here, but what they're saying is that the amendment of that bill can be understood as a separate budget reconciliation bill, which would give you a second budget reconciliation bill each year. So then they have to convince a Senate parliamentarian this is true. And the reason I bring all of this up is that these rules, all of them, the filibuster, budget reconciliation, anything, can be changed with 51 votes. So what is happening right now is that Schumer is going to try to convince a Senate parliamentarian of this somewhat weird interpretation of an already weird rule, because Schumer's own is a paralysis and a problem in the Senate, and just get rid of it or rewrite the rules in a sensible way. Instead, we're doing this unbelievably Talmudic approach to Senate rulemaking and infrastructure design. I'm glad he's trying to do it and being creative, but it's wild that we have to have this conversation at all.
Yeah, and it seems to be part of the Schumer campaign to get to 51 votes, because I'm now thinking of it as a campaign, Ezra, because of the way I've listened to Chuck Schumer carefully about the way he says this. You know, one night he said to me here, failure is not an option. When I asked him about, what about the 60 vote threshold, he just kept saying failure is not an option. A couple of nights later, he said exactly the same thing to Rachel. And so if he means that, then he means he has a way and a plan of getting to 51 votes in the Senate, dispensing with the 60 vote threshold. And that might mean going through various exercises like a double reconciliation bill, torturous things that eventually soften Joe Manchin to the point where he says, OK, I see what you need to do.
Yeah, that last bit is the key, though. So maybe he has a plan that can get Joe Manchin there and Kristen Sinema there, and maybe he doesn't. And we're just going to have to see. The key thing here, as you say, there's been an extraordinary amount of movement on the part of Senate Democrats around the filibuster and around Senate rulemaking and lawmaking in general. And that is all built on the idea they do not believe they can get Republican votes for anything. And that is true, by the way. If you want to know who ultimately has killed the filibuster, it is 100% Mitch McConnell, because he's disabused every single Democrat of the belief that you can pass anything with 60, that you can pass anything in a truly bipartisan way. But Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema, who understand this on some level, they're trying to walk a tightrope between saying they want to keep the Senate as it is, saying they want to make sure there's a voice and a space for the minority party, and also saying they want to get things done. So what they've basically decided to do is, if you can justify doing something under the existing rules, even if it is a new interpretation of those rules, they will sign on. So that makes a Senate parliamentarian very, very important. But I do want to keep banging this drum. It would be much better if Manchin, if Sinema, if whoever the other holdout Democrats are, just dispensed with this, because then we could pass infrastructure bills in the way they have passed for almost the entire history of the Senate until the past decade or two, which is with 51 or more votes. It just is simply not the way that we've run this country traditionally, that you need a supermajority to build a bridge. And that is part of the reason that our infrastructure in recent years, to say nothing of things that are more difficult to pass through reconciliation, like care work, like structures of pre-K and other things, have fallen into such disrepair recently. I really wish Senator Schumer, Majority Leader Schumer, all the success in the world with this. But I really, really wish Senators Manchin and Sinema would do their duty and make the Senate functional again.
Well, I mean, Chuck Schumer does stay in very close contact with Joe Manchin on this, with his leadership group that he has. He puts in a room every week this amazing meeting. It's the one meeting in Washington I'd love to be in, where Bernie Sanders is at the table, Elizabeth Warren's at the table, Joe Manchin's at the table. There's about 10 of them, as Chuck Schumer has described it, and it's every week. And this has to be basically the subject every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worth really emphasizing what you're saying. What Schumer is doing is holding together a caucus that ranges from Bernie Sanders on the one side, a Democratic socialist from Vermont, all the way to Senator Joe Manchin, who is one of the Trumpiest states in the country and who represents one of the Trumpiest states in the country. And so far, he's done it. And not just done it, but Manchin, to his credit, and Sinema and others have voted first for the American Rescue Plan. And Manchin does want infrastructure. That is somewhere where he agrees with the broad sweep of the Democrats. So far, Schumer's done a pretty remarkable job. I don't think he's floating this for no reason, and I think that there is a real chance if they can persuade Manchin and others. I'm sorry, if they can persuade the Senate parliamentarian that Manchin and others will sign on. But again, at some point, we're going to have to fix this, because one of the things I do worry about this, and we saw this, by the way, in the American Rescue Plan, even if the parliamentarian goes along with it in its broad strokes, a lot of things that are in an infrastructure bill, and particularly care work, as Press Secretary Psaki was talking about, will be ruled out of reconciliation. I just did an interview on my podcast with Bernie Sanders talking about some of these other issues, also democracy promotion issues like H.R. 1, the For the People Act, and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And he was saying, well, we think we have some way of doing it. But we saw this with the minimum wage. If it gets ruled out of reconciliation, they don't. And so it really is important that we can't only do the things in politics that fit in budget reconciliation. We also need to be able to strengthen our democracy, make it possible to care for elders, et cetera, et cetera. And that is a choice senators are making every single day.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.